Welcome to the most must-listen to show on the internet. Welcome to AEG. I am your host, JB, and I have Goose with me this week.
Yay, I'm back.
And I have Marlon, aka a fucking dog.
Hey guys, what's
Balto
up?
the dog.
Balto. I got Balto with
dog.
me this week. For context, those of you, obviously you can't see this, but Marlon has this thing on his Skype where it is a dog talking for him, and it's freaking me out a little bit.
Hey, what's up? It's a pretty good dog, man. It's a pretty good dog.
Doge. Oh, when you say like he's a good boy, he like makes like the I'm a good boy. Oh, God, he's kind of spazzing out a little bit. Okay. Anyway, so this week we kind of are gonna not really do like our normal format. Marlon threw out a topic that we wanted to talk about, and I thought it was a really good one. So we're just gonna kind of run with it, which is gaming ruts. I mean, we've kind of talked about this on the show before, how there'll be periods of time. Honestly, it's mostly in like the late spring, early summer, where we kind of just don't feel like playing anything and get kind of stuck. And then all these good games are coming out, or our backlogs haven't been finished, and there's stuff that we want to play, but we just don't have a desire to sit down and actually start anything and play anything. So we kind of want to just do like an open forum and kind of talk about why we feel that is a thing, how we deal with it. Because I know I personally just got out of a gaming rut, and I found a couple games that kind of broke me out of that mold.
Yeah, same here.
And so kind of want to just run with that topic. So I mean, whoever wants to start it off. I know Goose usually bat lead. If you want to kind of give the first word.
I'll kick it off. I just came
Since
back
you kind of are in a gaming rut right now.
Yeah, I thought I got out of it, but then just got back from DC. I think I'm back in it again. So when I was just to put a little bit of context, when I was younger, and all of us, I think I can speak for all of us by saying this. I just had so much time to play all these games, and I could sit there for hours. I could literally sit in front of my TV for 5+, 8+ hours on a daily basis, especially during summertime when we were off from school.
Right.
And I remember playing MVP baseball. I remember playing SmackDown Here Comes the Pain just for hours on end, over and over and over.
Yeah.
And I although I could still do that, I could pull a 10-hour, just sitting on my big behind all day. It happens now less frequently. It's just so frequent. And like, for example, the last game that I really played was Resident Evil 5. I platinumed that game, and I think that was back in May.
Yeah,
and
that was a while back.
It was a while back, and I don't know what happened to me. And I just stopped playing games. Just recently, I think it was last weekend or the weekend before. I think it was last weekend. Mm-hmm. I was like, you know what? Let me play Gears 4. Let me just start Gears 4. And I started it, and I beat it. I beat it in 2 sittings in between 2 days. And I was like, okay, good. I feel good. I had fun doing that. But now I'm just like, I'm supposed to play Ghost Recon and Borderlands with my friend Lee this week. And I'm going to try to stick to my word. But I'll be honest, I don't have a desire to play. Like I'm off this week. And I could have texted him and said, hey, listen, we can play after you get out of work. And I didn't text him at all because I didn't feel like playing anything. And I don't feel like playing anything.
Yeah, that's basically what happens at times,
Actually, real quick, I'll cut you off. I was incorrect. It goes further than that. I got the Platinum Trophy back in March 6th, early March. So since March, I've just been in this huge rut.
Go ahead.
No, and what I'm saying, it's kind of scary how you can get into a gaming rut and just stay there for months on end, and then you can just get out of it like it's nothing,
Right, because sorry to cut you off, Marlon. Like I'm weird, and I keep track of like all the games and stuff that I finished throughout like the year, and like January to like mid-March, it's almost like a game a week where I'm cranking out, Kingdom Hearts, Resident Evil, Far Cry, Devil May Cry, like all this stuff, like boom, 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 hitting all these games, playing through them, in a week, loving it. And then like I finished the story of Anthem at the end of March, and I don't have another game completed until the like first week of May. So there's like almost a month and a half of just nothing. And then again, there was a little bit in the middle of May because I was home and I finished off Rage and Splinter Cell Blacklist and Inside. So that was the end of May, and then the last game that I finished was Doom, which was a week ago. So I mean, it was, you know, another like month. I just take these like long breaks where I'm like, I sit down and try to play something and want to play something, and I just have no desire to complete it. I kind of broken myself again because I just started Judgment on the PS4, and I am loving that. My buddy that I game share with, he played it, he finished it, he put like 25 hours into it, like loved it, and he's been kind of like, he's like, you really need to sit down and try it. You really need to sit down and try it. And I finally did over the weekend, and I'm into it, and I want to play it. But that's one of those games where I kind of need to have like larger chunks of time to kind of dig into as opposed to just bite-sized stuff. And I think that has a lot to do with it. A lot of these games that come out now, we have the money and the ability to buy them all, but they are all long 40, 50-hour experiences as opposed to, you know, games when we were younger. You were kind of mentioning it, Goose, like, yes, you know, you're spending the same amount of money for a ML or a MVP baseball or a WWE game, but those games you can pick up in bite-sized chunks, and you can play them for longer periods of time, but there's no end goal. All these games have these giant open worlds and this long drawn-out story, and I just feel like as we've gotten older, it's not as something that we want to really like sit down and focus on as much anymore. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean,
No, you're right. I think it depends mostly on your situation of your life. If you are in a job,
Dog is killing me.
I know. I'm really having a tough time keeping you serious, Marlon.
oh Lord, I can't help it. Okay, I love this new face rig thing. Anybody who wants to just enjoy something cool on their streams, check face rig out. It's a really cool little program that you can do.
It's awesome.
It is really cool, actually.
And here's the thing for me. I feel like as you get older, you don't have the time for it anymore because of duties as an adult, jobs,
Life.
kids, life, and you have to basically invest the time and money that you have into a game that you are going to enjoy. But what I feel is a lot of people, and especially this is in the gaming community as a whole, that they have to be on the next game. They have to be on this whole wheel of like, oh no man, if I don't buy Final Fantasy 14 or 15, I'm gonna miss out and I'm never gonna play this game again. No, my friends are telling me to play this game. The industry is telling me that I need to play that game, and it becomes this situation where you're stuck. You don't know where you want to go, and for somebody who has the money for it, that's no problem. You can just buy whatever game comes out. But with somebody who is in a situation because of kids and because of life, that you have to basically pick and choose which game you want to play, it can dampen that. Especially if the game that you want to play would cost you $80-$90, and then you realize that it sucks. And then you feel like you spend money on a game that you don't like, you don't enjoy, and yet you're basically, well, I had to pay it. I bought it. I have to play it now.
Yeah. I definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
No, what I'm saying is like that's for me what happened with Anthem. I love Anthem, and it's a really cool game, and I'm really happy with the way that they're doing things now.
Wrong.
But I wasn't having fun for like the longest time in that game, because I just felt like there was nothing else there for me to do. And I always go back to playing Destiny, and yet I have Anthem sitting there where I barely haven't touched it in a while, and I feel like, well, I'm in this gaming rut with that game. It's like I want to play it, but at the same time, whenever I pop it into the PS4 and I started into the first thing with Fort Tarsus, I'm like, I don't want to play this. I there's nothing here that I want or even want to do, and I feel like it's more to do with how engaging the game can be and how much do you actually want to play it, you know? Because at the end of the day, it's just a video game, but for people who like us who breed and just deal with this on an everyday basis,
We breed video
Yeah,
games.
breathe, breathe,
I was going
breathe,
to let it go. I was
breathe.
going to let it go, but I was like, oh man,
I can't. I can't let it go.
I was like, we live and breathe video games. It can be a dampen. Like you buy all these video games that you're sitting in your backlog and you haven't even touched for months, and then people look at you like, oh, so are you gonna play those? And you're like, well, I don't know, maybe. So it can really be a dampening of the whole gaming experience.
I kind
This
of want to
sounds-
go back and touch on something that you had said
Mhm.
about the gaming community wanting to be on the hot new game that as they're coming out. That is definitely an issue, especially with us doing this show. Even
Yes.
is we want to try to talk about as many of the current topics and the current games as we can, but at the same time, life intervenes a lot of that time, and we don't always have that opportunity. Like my buddy and I that I game share with on PS4, we were kind of talking, down the road, okay, what's kind of the stuff that we're feeling for the fall. And there's a lot of big games that we're kind of just like, okay, we really want to get this at launch, but is it gonna be something that we'll really sit down and stick with?
Mhm.
And that's another thing. Like as and I'm including like you guys, as we get older, we don't always, we can't always get stuff at launch. Yes, we have the financial capabilities to do that stuff, but it's the time sink. And I think that's what ultimately leads to these ruts is you want to play the new stuff, but you don't have the time to dedicate to all of these titles. And then so it's like, okay, well, I don't have the time to dedicate to these 4 games that I currently just purchased, so I'm not going to dedicate any time to any of them. And then it's like, okay, I don't even want to,
Yeah, it's a cycle. It's a
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
feeds into
Marlon
itself.
Marlon
Go ahead.
mentioned something that Marlon's been you guys have been talking this whole time, and I'm literally in front of my library and I'm looking at it, and I can see some of the games that I've purchased, and fear of missing out is a part of it. Although I do admit, and I'll admit it to the listeners, like I think I have a problem, and I mean that seriously. Where like buying games makes me feel good, so it's like maybe I have like some deep hole inside of me that I fill up with video games. But Marlon said something that was really.
I have the same thing, so I can.
I-
You don't even have to like.
I'm not.
You don't
I'm not
have to
gonna-
like educate. Try to explain how.
I imagine my brain just releasing dopamine every time I
Right.
click that yellow button on Best Buy, and then when I get
Right.
it in the mail, and that's all it is. Because so many times I'm a little proud of myself this year only because I've really cut back on day one purchases, and many games I've gotten on sale. But the problem still persists where I'm still buying games even if I'm getting them on sale.
Mhm.
And Marlon have both said something which happens to me with Netflix, which is I get overwhelmed with all the choices. I have this huge backlog. I'm looking at the games now, and I purchase Rage 2, which I haven't played. I purchased Metro Exodus, which I haven't played. I purchased Kingdom Hearts 3, which I left like towards the end.
Mhm.
I purchased Resident Evil, Anthem, Division, Days Gone, Left Alive. I purchased other smaller games, digital games, and I haven't played like a single one.
Yep.
And I feel like I think I look at my backlog, and I'm a little nerdy, so I have like a list of games that I'm like, all right, I'm gonna play this, I'm gonna play that. And what I find myself doing is going back to stuff that I've played before or stuff that feels comfortable. Like Gears 4 felt so comfortable because I'm like, it's like Jeff loves to say the word comfort food. It was comfort food. I'm like, I know what I need to do. I'm playing it on normal, so I'm not gonna get stressed about dying over and over again.
Right.
I've played them before, so I'm gonna enjoy the story. I can just take my time and shoot and try all this dumb stuff that I usually wouldn't try. Oh, I'm gonna try to chainsaw everybody on this level instead of shooting them, like little dumb stuff like that. But I do get paralyzed by and I feel like I don't. This isn't us bragging. Like I know this is totally a first world problem. I get that there's a whole bunch. I get
Right.
there's a whole bunch of gamers who aren't in our position. I get that. I get
Sure,
that.
there's people screaming at their,
Yeah.
iPod or,
Like we get that we're very grateful for being in the position that we are. We all are, but
Yes.
it's just I'm just so I look at I'm looking at this, and then one thing that I do like I do have a guiding light. Like I never buy games thinking that I'm never going to play them. Like a lot of my friends, they're like, you buy so many games and you don't play them. Like you literally just you get them and you put them in the library and you don't touch them. And but I always tell them, I'm like, that although it happens over and over again, that is never my intention. I never buy a game thinking that I'm not going to finish it.
Right.
Every time I click purchase on that Best Buy app, it's with the intention I'm going to play it. I'm going to finish it. It just doesn't happen. And I can chalk up a lot of it to not having the time, and that is partially true. But then I think, like, I have to be honest with myself and tell myself, all right, sometimes I do have pockets of time, and I just don't play. And it's not like I'm divorced from the games industry as a whole, because I still keep up with it. I still do 2 shows a week in regards to video games. I'm still on top of what's going on in the industry, and I very much enjoy that. That to me is not a job. It doesn't feel like a chore. That is always fun to me.
Agreed.
But I'm just like, I'm all this time I've been talking to you guys, I'm still looking at this library, and everything that's crossing through my mind is, where the fuck do I start?
Yeah.
Where do I start?
That's my thing too. Like there's been quite a few games, and again with you, like I get them on sale when they do like those, like Christmas sales and Black Friday digital sales and stuff like that. Like I have probably, I'm going to guess in the ballpark of like 50 games on my PS4 that I purchased on or around day one. Never touched them. Not even like I downloaded them, like I put them on my console, and then like they sit there for a week and I'm like, okay, I'm actually probably not going to play this. And I just delete it again because it's like I need room for X other thing that just came out that I want to play now. So I mean, I have the same problem on a digital front. I mean, it's essentially the same problem. It is exactly the same problem that you're, but I've been trying to be better at this year buying a game and finishing it. Like I bought Rage 2. I bought, there are some of the games that you mentioned there that I also like. I purchased Metro Exodus. I never played it. I purchased Sekiro on 2 platforms. God, what the but I purchased it on both Xbox and PlayStation. I played about the same amount on both consoles. Like, that's even a worse problem because now I'm spending $120 on a game as opposed to $60. Like, it's just, it's so weird to just like, have that, Goose said it, that dopamine hit and purchase something and then be like, I have the full intent of playing this, and then either start it or don't start it and be like, okay, I don't know why I don't want to play this anymore. And I think this is another weird kind of part of it. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I listen to many podcasts throughout the week, and a lot of these bigger, these publications and online groups and stuff like that, they talk about all these games that I want to play, but it's almost like listening to them talk about it, I don't know if I want to play it.
Gotcha.
Because they talk about it so much, or they go into detail about certain things, and it's like, okay, well, then when I sit down to finally play the game and I play through it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's the part they were talking about. It's almost like it gets ruined for me, if that sounds like...
It stops the surprise from happening.
Right.
It stops you from...
I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but...
It's more like to do with the fact that if you're listening to podcasts all the time and you're looking at them and listening to them, you basically are getting first-hand or second-hand accounts of a video game that you otherwise wouldn't have played. And if that's what you're looking for, that's fine. But if you're looking for to get a fresh experience with these games, then the surprises that the game will have kind of get spoiled for you. So you kind of lose the excitement for them. Here's an example for me for that. I was listening to this podcast the other day, and they were talking about like there was this huge fight scene in Kingdom Hearts 2, and I remember talking about it like, oh yeah,
boring.
The fight with Sephiroth. Like I remember that quite clearly. But the guy was talking about it, and he was like, "You don't understand, man. I saw so many people play this thing on YouTube that when I actually finally played with Sephiroth, it just kind of like die for me. Like it just felt weird, felt easy, didn't feel excitement or challenging. And I'm like, yeah, because you've been watching all these guys play the exact same thing that you're playing yourself now. There's no excitement for it. There's no surprise behind it. So that just takes away the joy out of it. So yeah, I don't think that's one the big issue that people have with gaming rugs. I think it's just one of the side effects that can happen with gaming rugs.
Right.
The big one for me though is, and Gustavo was talking about it with Gears of War, is that for me that's Destiny. For me, any game that I play, whether it's Horizon, whether it's Final Fantasy 15, whether it's God of War, or
Monster Hunter.
it's Monster Hunter or Dauntless, or I can go down the list. But every single time I play a game, and I get tired of it, because this happened with me with Skyrim. I was playing with it. I got through half of the game. I said, screw this. I'm not enjoying it anymore. Pop into Destiny, play another 50 hours of that, and I didn't get bored. Because that's just how my brain goes. I know this game. I know how it feels. I know how it runs. I don't have to worry about story because I already beat the whole thing. I'm just enjoying the content as is. And it's probably the one game as a service that I feel like that is my wow. That is my MMO that I go back and play.
Yeah, it's like it has its claws in you, clearly.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about that at length for sure. But that's another part of these gaming ruts is, people will find that one game and kind of stick to it. And, yeah, you play other stuff, but then you ultimately go back to Destiny. And it's like, okay, you're not moving forward, I guess.
Yes.
It doesn't like, and I'm not trying to make that sound like a detriment, because it's not. If you love Destiny and you enjoy playing that game and that is what, you like to do, there's nothing wrong with that at all.
Yeah, but the problem gets
But you're not moving forward. There are so many games, but you have the benefit, I feel, of not buying a lot of these games as they come out.
Yes, but the problem that I have with that is that there's certain games that I want to play and that I buy, but they're sitting there, unopened, still in the shrink wrap, that I still have not touched. Case in point, this is from the PS3 era, okay? I have Final Fantasy 13-2 sitting on the shrink wrap. I have not touched that. And I feel like a part of me says, hey, listen, you have this backlog of games, you have to go back and beat some of them, because otherwise you just basically spending your money on a game that you're not even going to touch. And if it was to the point where, hey, I might sell it later on, then why did I buy it in the first place? It's one of those things where some video games I feel like you have to play, but that also gets you stuck in this whole situation. Well, I need to play that, 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 and I don't know which to choose, so I'm not gonna play anything. And that has happened to you, that's happened to me, that has happened to Gustavo, that has happened to everybody, I think, at some point. Right. How to get out of it, that's...
Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what we're trying to figure out, and I don't honestly think there's a legitimate answer to that.
Yeah,
at
I
all.
agree. I don't think there's an answer. I think it depends on the game. Like, for example, like this upcoming fall, starting in late August, there are going to be a couple games that I know that I'm going to get day one. There's also a couple games that I know that I'm going to get day one that there's a high probability, most likely, highly probable that I'm not going to play on day one. But like I look at that list, I've already written the list. I think it's about 9 games that I plan on getting day one.
Yeah.
And
I have about the same. Just out of just for kicks and giggles, Wolfenstein, Borderlands, Ghost Recon, Outer Worlds, Death Stranding, Star Wars, Pokemon, Legend of Zelda, and Doom Eternal.
Yeah, I've got. I don't remember which ones, but they're very similar. I think I've got a couple more Nintendo games and Astral Chain, Control's there. But I'm looking at. I've looked at the list, and I'm like, out of all those games, I think it's about 8 or 9. I think it's 9. I'm I'm only gonna play for a fact that I know that I'm like hook, line, and sinker day one. Gears 5.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, Gears 5's on my list too.
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, and Death Stranding. In fact, I moved my October week off to November to start the week of November, the week after November 8th,
So you can play Death
so I
Stranding.
can play Death Stranding.
Right.
So I know those 3 games I'm going to play, but then I asked myself, I'm like, well, why would I buy them if even I can tell right now that I won't play them day one? And then I make up stupid excuses like, well, like for example, I'm like, well, I can get them and they'll be cheaper because I'll get the 20% off. Like I try to like in my own head, I justify it. I'm like, it's got the 20% off. Plus, if I pre-order, I get the pre-order goodie and the 10% and the $10 reward certificate, and that goes towards my purchase of next gen consoles, right? And
You're justifying
like,
the whole thing.
and I have like I have like $230 in Best Buy credit. I'm like, if I buy all these games, if I pre-order, I'll have up to $300 in Best Buy credit, and that'll help me with next gen. But but there's like this struggle, and I told Jeff. Like I pre-ordered the Gears 5 replica for the Lancer, and I'm pretty sure that I'm almost positive that I'm gonna keep it. Like I want that. I want to put that up on my wall, and I'm just like, man, I'm just wasting money. Not so much on the replica. The replica I don't think will be a waste, but on the games.
Yeah, that's my biggest thing too. Is like the counter argument to what you're saying. It's like, oh, I get the $10 credit and blah 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 blah. But it's like, yeah, but you could just not spend that money and put that $60 or $50 in the case of Gamers Club towards the console that you're gonna ultimately,
Get.
I mean, that's the adult in me talking, and like, oh well, you could just save the money, and but at the same time, I understand like. You speaking is just like yeah okay, I 100% get where you're coming from. I have that same justification too,
and then sorry, but another thing real quick with what Marlon said in terms of like having a game that you stick to. I think 2018 was probably the worst and best for me in terms of that. Like I too played lots of Destiny, especially in Destiny 1,
mm-hmm.
and 2018 was just such a revelation for me because starting in September, really starting in June, to be honest, with Assassin's Creed Origins, I put Destiny down and I didn't play it. And I just started playing everything else in between. That year, I played Spider-Man to completion, Shadow of the Tomb Raider to completion, Assassin's Creed Origins to completion. I played quite a bit of Sea of Thieves with my friend Justin. I played the Call of Duty that came out that year. I played so many games in the fall that I otherwise would not have played if I had just been playing Destiny 2. And again, I'm going to back up what Justin said. Like, there's nothing wrong with playing Destiny 2. If that's your comfort food, if that's the game that you want to play. And then I remember I would shit on Destiny 2. I would feel guilty for not playing. I'm like, well, the developers are fucking it up. But like, now, that's not an excuse. Like, yeah, Bungie continues to mess up, but it's less and less frequent. And Bungie has done a really, not to turn this into a Destiny thing, but Bungie has done a really, really good job into making Destiny a lifestyle game, a real games as a service where you can continually go back and back and back, and you can just
pushing it forward in great ways.
And exactly, and you can just sink time into it. So the problem isn't Destiny now. It's just that I'm like, I just don't want to play, and it's not even Destiny. I just don't want to play those type of games. I think like I bought Division 2, and I played a little bit of Division 2, and I just put it down. And it wasn't because it was bad or anything, but I was just like, man, I have to put a lot of time into this. And I don't want to put a lot of time into just any one single game. Like, for example, I'll give you an example of The Witcher 3, right? I know that game will take me either 100 to 150 to 200 hours, but it has a sell-by date. There's going to be a time where I'm going to put it down and move on and have a different experience. With games as a service games, that there is no sell-by date. It doesn't exist. And that's what sort of like gets in my head now that I'm getting a little older. 'Cause I remember I started playing Destiny when I was, it was 4 years ago. I was like 26. Yeah, I was around 26. Maybe I had just turned 25.
Yep.
And now I'm just like, man, I don't think I want... Like Destiny 3, like am I going to get Destiny 3? Most likely, yeah. But then I have to be honest with myself. Am I going to play it and go all out the way that I did with the first one? Probably not.
Here's the thing for games as a service. And this is what I realized, because I used to play a lot of MMOs. And there was something that I realized when Bungie was going in this direction, and and this is the same thing like with EA with Anthem, they're going the same direction, which is there is a moment where you kind of get overwhelmed by how much stuff the game actually has from launch towards 2-3 years of content. Here's why. When you are playing this game constantly, over and over and over again, you grow with the game. You don't feel like you're stagnated. You always feel like there's something else to do because you know there's something else in the horizon. But for somebody who goes away from it and says, you know what, I'm going to take a break, I'll enjoy other games, let's say God of War, and then you go back, you kind of get even more overwhelmed by the fact that, oh, crap, now I have to catch up with what everybody has been doing the past couple of months that I have not been playing this game. And now I have to spend even more hours on this game. Now, if your friends are playing this game, then you feel like, okay, I can do it because I know they have my back and they will just, carry me through it and help me out. But if you're just playing by yourself, it just makes you want to just stop playing altogether. Because I think that's what happened with Gustavo, which is it got to a point where, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then you go back, you stop playing for, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 months, and you go back, and you go, no, I'm okay. I don't want to do this anymore.
I'll chime in. Like, I think, yeah, Marlon is right on the money. Although I think that Bungie has done a better job recently with their their annual pass, which includes different seasons. I think they've done a better job of onboarding returning players. But Marlon is absolutely right on the money, where it was sort of like a thing where I'd go back to play, and a lot of my friends in our client TMSG, they would be more than happy to help me, right? But it was sort of like a thing like, hey, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. And I felt like I wasn't enjoying myself. Like me, I'm a particular game player. I like to take my time. I like to explore. I like to know what's going on. And I felt like I was just I was helpful. I was grateful for the help, but I felt like I was just being led through these checkpoints to just reach this point to maybe get to where they were at. And then I also didn't want to be a hindrance because I'm like, well, they've been playing this whole time together. They know all the nooks and crannies of this particular raid or this particular activity. And even though they would explain it to you, you learn it by rote. You're not really learning the way you would when you do everything together and it's all brand new. So that's another aspect of you feel sort of marginalized, and it just doesn't become fun, at least for me. And I'm like, this isn't fun. I'm slowing them down. They're doing their best to help me, so I don't want to be a dick and say, hey, you're not helping me enough, right? Because they are helping. So I'm like, you know what? Let them have their fun. Let them play it. I'm gonna bow out. I'm too far behind. I'll just not play it at all, which is fine because I wasn't enjoying it, playing it this way. But Marlon is right because there was a difference when I was playing every day. I knew what loadouts, I knew what was the meta, I knew what was going on, and that takes time. And that is, again, I want to preface by saying this is not the fault of the developer, right? I can't tell Bungie, you must make it easier for me. No, because it's a fine balancing act to have onboarding for new or returning players, and then also continue to reward the people who have put the time. And my even though I'm one of those people on the outskirts, the people who have put the time deserve to get rewarded. They do not deserve to get the shaft, and they should always be the priority because those are the pillars of the community. Yeah. So you can't sacrifice that for folks like me who, who just come and go as they please.
And here's one example for me that just blew my mind. So our friend Lee, who you probably have heard in multiple episodes of this podcast before, is that he used to be a Destiny player and he hated playing video games. Like any type of video game that he didn't enjoy, he would not touch. And it was only he would play certain games with his friends. And he was the kind of guy that if it was not a multiplayer-based game, he would not touch it. He would just go, I don't want to play it. But I think for him, the way that he got rid of his gaming rut when it comes to video games, I feel was when Gustavo introduced him to Platinum Trophies. I feel like that's what made him go from just playing a single game and just spending all his time in that specific game to trying out different games that he would otherwise not play. when he showed how much platinum trophies he have gotten over the past, I don't know, year and a half, let me tell you, it impressed the fuck out of me. I had 12 platinum trophies, while Lee only had 2. This guy has how many now, Gustavo? Like
I don't know, dude. Upwards of 12 or
12,
14.
13, and like in a year. Okay, in a year, and that's for me. I feel like that's probably a good way of getting out of gaming ruts. It's trying out a small game, a small indie title that you know you're not gonna worry about sinking time and effort into it. You just something that you can just enjoy and play for the fun of it. You know, to remember that this game is about having fun. That the hobby of a video game at the end of the day is that you are having fun with these different types of media. We get so caught up on I gotta grind for that, I gotta grind for this, I gotta do this, I gotta do that, and make it like a chore.
Like a
That we,
job. It feels like a job.
so we forget that hey, it's not about having a job or you doing this as a chore. It's about you having fun. And if you're not having fun, then what's the use of playing and busting your butt in this specific game when you could probably play another game that may actually have more fun for you and just enjoy it. I
I'll,
think.
sorry, go ahead.
No,
No,
go
no, I'm
ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Just real quick. I'll give a. Go ahead. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. No, go ahead. I'll give an example of again. I'll go back to Assassin's Creed Origins. When I first started playing that game, I knew I had taken the week of June off, not knowing what I wanted to play, and I started playing it like Friday after work, and it got its hooks into me pretty good because of the world. But then I looked at the map, and I wanted to platinum it, so that was a goal. I was like, I want to platinum it for this week. It's going to be a tall order. It's going to be roughly 80 hours. I knew that going in. But I looked at the world, and I was overwhelmed. But Marlon made a good point. And again, I'm not advocating for this. No one has to spend 30, 40 hours or even 10 hours to see whether they like a game. But Marlon made such a good point when he says, it's so hard to stick to a game because, hey, you're used to it, you play it, and you know it. And then let's say you take a break and then you come back. It's so hard to get back into it.
Yep.
And I look at Assassin's Creed Origins, even now, I look at it, how big that game was and all the question marks that I cleared on that map. And I rarely use, and again, I'm very OCD. You guys know this about me. I rarely, if ever, used any quick travel points. Like everything I either walked or I used my horse or my camel to get to, because part of the fun for me was getting to explore and enjoy Egypt. I wanted to do that. And I look back and I'm like, because I want to play Odyssey. Odyssey's another one that I want to play in Platinum. And I'm like, I have no idea how I did that.
Right.
Like, I'm like, that game was so fucking massive.
It was a huge game.
It was so big. But Marlon makes a great point. It's you have to. Hopefully nothing comes up in the real life, right? We as working adults, things come up all the time. It has to be like this perfect storm of I need to have the time. Hopefully nothing external to that pops up that takes me away from that, family issues, work issues, whatever the case may be. Like everything just needs to, like all these ducks need to be in this particular order in order for you to, play these games. And God, for the listeners out there who are struggling and have real problems, we're sorry.
Yeah, I would say this sounds just like boo frickety who for you.
Yeah.
I know, but it's. I think you have to understand one thing is that when you are doing something that you love, you're gonna have little problems here and there that for other people you will look at it like I don't know what you're complaining about, like that's so stupid. But for the person who's dealing with that type of thing, it's a little problem for them. And you shouldn't discredit it just because it's not, the end of the world is coming apart. It's people say like it's first world problems. Yeah, they're first world problems, but at the end of the day, it is something that you deal with, and it is a way for you to, as a human being, to understand the issue that's causing it and try to fix it. And this is not just with video games. This is just in general as in life.
A principle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing that's going to happen when you have kids. How do you deal with their problems, and how do you deal with trying to explain to them how to just become a better person overall? They will have, if they play video games, they will ask you, hey, I'm in a gaming rut, Dad. How do I get out of it? And
dude, I wait for the day that happens.
That would be awesome, dude. If it was my dad, he's like, what?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, I tried to talk video games with my parents, and their eyes just like rolled into the back of their head, like
And they shrivel.
Like,
right.
just go play with your Nintendo. Dad, it's a PlayStation 4. I don't care. It's a Nintendo for me.
Everything is a Nintendo.
He's like, you're upset and worried because you don't know what game to play. What? I didn't have shoes.
Stop being a little pussy.
Yeah, I didn't have shoes and socks
It's
when
a
I was a
funny
kid.
Right. I
It's
had
a
to
funny
walk
thing.
uphill 15 miles in the snow both
thing.
ways.
Here's the funny. Lord Almighty. Here's the thing that makes me laugh. It's like we as a video games gamers and stuff like that, we get, man, I'm looking at my backlog, and I got so many games that I want to play with, and I just don't know what to do. And my friend of mine, that she's not a video gamer at all. She's your fashionista at all times. She's like, Marlon, I have so many dresses, I don't know which one to put. And I'm like, hey, now you understand what I'm dealing with, okay? And she's like, shut up, okay. It's like that, It's little situations where you don't know what to do because you feel like you're stuck in a situation where you don't know which direction to take, and it's a healthy thing to talk about it. Like people tell me like, oh, it's video games. Why are you like making such a big deal about it? It's a hobby, something that I enjoy, and
it's at the end of the day, it's a big deal to you.
I wouldn't say it's a big deal, but it's more like a situation that I am in and that I would like to share with people and, hear their thoughts about it,
Or I guess big deal isn't the way I would put it. Like it's important to you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
important to us.
Yeah, Jeff makes a great point. Like I wasn't losing sleep over not playing games since March, but it was sort of beginning to worry me. Like my worries were mostly to the show, where I'm thinking, man, for the end of the year, what good am I going to be in conversations regarding games regarding the first half of the year, because I haven't played anything, right? Sekiro, Resident Evil, Days Gone, Rage 2, Exodus. I haven't played any of these games. So what can I contribute to our show, to our listeners? Nothing. I'll have to be honest, because I'll be like, well, I haven't played anything. Sorry, guys. So those are some of my worries, independent of the fact that I'm like, whoa, I haven't. Like I noticed, when I get home from work, I just watch Netflix or watch some YouTube, and it would just continue on. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is a big rut. Like I haven't played anything, and I have no desire to do so.
Yeah. And I think that's the main issue. It's not just that you're in a gaming rut where you don't feel that which game you're gonna play. It's the fact that you don't even want to play any video games.
Right.
And you're like, I'd rather just watch TV and just veg out, as opposed to, you know what? Let me try something of a new adventure. Let me go do Uncharted 4. Here's the thing. A perfect example for Uncharted 4. I stopped playing Uncharted 4 because I was not thinking about enjoying the storyline. I was thinking about collecting all the little collectors that I need to get. And I was getting frustrated because, oh, crap, I missed one collector little figuring like at the beginning of the level. Crap, now I gotta go back and redo this level all over again. And it just took, and I forgot about the storyline completely, and I got so stuck on trying to get everything from the get-go that I just wasn't having fun. And I still have not go back and play Uncharted 4. And it's the same thing with Horizon. It's the same thing that I had, that I'm very particular about how I play video games, and I want to collect everything as I go along. And to the point where sometimes I just like, I don't feel like playing because I know that I missed something, that I have to go back, but I cannot go back because that level is cut off for me until I beat the game or I restart the game all over again. So that's when it comes to when I start playing video games, and I have to go back and play them, and I just have to just change the way that I look at video games and change the way that I would play. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep doing it over and over and over and never move forward.
So two quick examples, and I'm so happy that Marlon brought this up because he really hits a nail on the head, at least for me. Like I love trophies, and over the past couple of months, independent of the rut, but the rut has really brought it to the fore. I've considered to stop chasing trophies. Like for example, like I got in a race. Many of the listeners who do listen, who have heard me speak about it, I got in a race with my friend Juan from undergrad. and he's currently beating me by like maybe I think 10 or 11 platinum trophies. I'm almost positive that I'm going to lose. I'm not going to win. I've sort of resigned myself to that unless I somehow go crazy. And I thought about it. I was like, I could technically win because I have so many easy platinum trophies, especially when it comes to the Telltale games and things like that. But I'm like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not that type of person. I'm not going to take the cheap way out. But trophies do paralyze me when playing a game. And I'll give two quick examples. Uncharted 4 isn't one of them because the trophies didn't paralyze me. What paralyzed me was the story, right? I was so obsessed with finding out if Nate died or not. And by the way, I was one of the folks who wanted them to kill off Nate Drake. I was so obsessed with that I barreled right through that. I just barreled through that game and I didn't enjoy it. I'm the type of gamer when I play, I look at environments, I look at leaves, yes, I look at the drapes and I look at the windows to see how good they look. I'm that type of nerdy guy. And I didn't do any of that. And that really took away from the enjoyment, especially because once I got to the end and I didn't get what I thought I was going to get. I was like, oh, they didn't kill him. Oh, okay. This was whack. But
spoilers for Uncharted 4, everybody.
Yeah, sorry, spoilers for Uncharted 4, everybody. But another game that I really, really was enjoying playing, and then my quest for trophies, because this is my problem, this is my fault. Ruined it for me was Vampire. I was playing Vampire, and I read the trophy guide, and I'm like, well, if I back up these saves here, and I was already planning how to maximize my time so I didn't have to play the game twice. And there's this one guy on PSN Trophies .org or whatever, one of the forums that he says, for those of you who love playing games, he's like, although it may take time, and there's some games where I don't recommend it just because of the time investment. He was like, I always recommend. He's a guide writer, by the way. I always recommend that you play the game as is. If there's collectibles and you want to collect them along, all right, you can follow the guide. But just play the game as is because you're going to ruin it for yourself doing these little things that aren't meant to be part of the game experience to maximize your time to get a platinum trophy. So I'm like, either I just drop them all together and just play games, which I'll be honest, on Xbox One and Nintendo Switch, it is so liberating because Nintendo Switch doesn't have them. And on Xbox One, I don't care. Because I don't have the investment as I do on PlayStation. So when I play games on Xbox One, I'm not chasing after trophies. I'm just having fun. I may play them on a harder difficulty, not necessarily for trophies, just because I like that. But I don't have to worry about trophies. Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that I've been really kind of I don't want to say struggling. Struggling is not the right word, but I've been contemplating about whether I should ditch trophies or whether I should just play in a different way when I do go out looking for a platinum trophy.
Here's something that you said that just hit in the nail for me, because what you were talking about with Vampire is the same thing that happened to me with Dark Souls 2, where, to the listeners out there, Dark Souls 2, it is a long game. And the game, while decent, it does not hold a candle to Dark Souls 1 or Dark Souls 3. The battle system for Dark Souls 2 is a lot more slow and more methodical than Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3, even if I can even say that. And the mechanics of how the game plays is somewhat more lethargic, is the correct way of saying it. So you have that type of gameplay in the game, and you have over 82 close to around 82 bosses in the game.
Whoa.
It doesn't make you want to go back and beat the game 2, 3, or 4 times. There are people that do that, and I'm fine with that. But for me, it just made me go like, this game I'm beating once and that's it. I'm not doing this thing all over again, because it's such a time consuming and such a grind to it. There's a difference between grind that makes me go, yeah, I can do this, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna beat it, and I'm gonna continue on with Uncharted 3, which after I beat the normal mode, I'm like, you know what, I can beat hard mode. After I beat hard mode, yeah, I can beat
crushing.
I can be crushing, and I can do it. But with this, it just makes me go, oh my god, yeah, now I gotta deal with that DLC, gotta deal with that DLC. Oh man, I gotta deal with a stupid tiger. And you're going back and forth into every little issue that you had in the first playthrough. That it just demoralizes you about going, do I really want to bang my head against the wall again three more times in this game? So that's what made me stop playing it. When I went back and playing it about 4 years later, I said to myself, I can do this. I got to a certain point. I said, oh yeah, no, I got to deal with this thing all over again. Nope. Took the game out, put Destiny, and said, I'm not doing this anymore. That is one of the platinum trophies that I know for a fact that I will never gonna get because it's such a teeth.
Wait,
pulling.
just real quick, you can be crushing with in-game cheats, and you'll get it.
No, but crushing for Uncharted, I got no problem with that. It's Dark Souls 2 that I'm having issues with.
Dark Souls. Sorry, gotcha.
Right.
So it's like I gotta go back and beat all the bosses again. Gotta do all the stuff again. For what? So I can basically get 2 or 3 more spells. So the platinum for the trophy pops up. So I get the platinum trophy for it. Like that's the thing. Like it's 200 hours of work to get 3 little things to pop up. So I can get 1 platinum trophy.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah, I hear you. Like I remember. Go ahead.
Just with in regards to like trophies and stuff like that, like I've kind of, I'm trying to not focus so much on them anymore. Achievements, trophies, what have you. Just because I feel like it's like you said, Goose, it's forcing the way that I want to play games, so that when I do try to sit down a game that I know that I can get like a lot of the trophies for, it almost like it makes me not want to play it and keeps me in my rut because I don't want to play something that way.
Yeah, because there's certain trophies that just make you play in a different way than you're normally used to, and it gets really aggravating. For example, there is a there's a milestone and a triumph in Destiny 2 where you're supposed to basically kill people in the Crucible with grenade launchers. I hate grenade launchers. I don't want to do this. But in order for me to get the weapon that comes with it, which is the pinnacle weapon, which is Mountaintop, I need to basically kill people with grenade launchers.
How many?
It's a percentage. It's basically kill. I don't know, it's I want to say about 100 Guardians or something like that.
Gotcha.
And then you have to basically get to like the highest level of Crucible competitive with the grenade launcher. And I'm like, I don't want to deal with this. It's the little things like that make, oh my god, you're such an idiot. You're complaining about an achievement. You're complaining about a trophy, but it's things that put a road stop to you enjoying the game the way that you want to play. And the way that and developers do this at times, they put some ridiculously difficult trophies that just makes you stop playing the game altogether because it's such a pain in the butt to do. Case in point, there is for Ninja Gaiden Sigma for the PSP and for the PlayStation and for the I think it was a PS Vita, that you're supposed to get number 1 in the entire world. No. That's Samurai. Ninja Gaiden, you're supposed to beat the game in the hardest difficulty, but the hardest difficulty is unable to be get because you need to basically have online, and they don't have online anymore. So you're not able to get the trophy on that. So,
right.
So for certain people, that basically stops them from enjoying the game because they realize, I will never get the trophy for that. So what's the point? For other people, you look at it as liberating. Says, oh, I don't have to worry about that anymore. I can just play the game the way I wanted to. And it's depending on the person at the end of the day.
The personality, yeah, I agree, dude. I think I fall in the former camp where I'm just like I'll give you an example, like the Shadow of the New Colossus. Before I saw that video that makes me think that I can do it, I was like, oh yeah, I played fucking the first one and the little expansion, and I platinumed the first one, the New Order, and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna platinum this. And then when I saw that I could literally get every single trophy except that one, that just it just put me off. It just left like a bad taste in my mouth. I'm like, oh,
right,
fuck this game, and I didn't play it.
So my
But
question,
yeah, I mean,
I think we can talk about
yeah, I
this
think
like
we can
tomorrow.
kind of, yeah, oh, yeah, yeah. I think we can. I think we can probably honestly kind of wrap up our our thoughts. I mean, gaming ruts as a whole, they happen. I mean, we're all, I'm kind of in one right now. Goose is in one. Marlon, I mean, you have,
I'm like gonna semi one because there's so many games that I want to play, and I
right.
can't because for me that's my issue. For me, Destiny has me by the balls to the point where I want to play Anthem. My brain is telling me you need to play Anthem. This has some really cool stuff that they're bringing after the PTS, and my balls are like, I don't feel that we're gonna be doing that. You know what? We're just gonna stick with Destiny because the Solstice of Heroes is coming up. It starts tomorrow. You have to grind through all those weapons, and my brain, my stupid brain, is telling me, yeah, we'll do that. Fuck you, Anthem. We'll do that for Destiny, and I'm like, why?
I think what I'll try to do is like I played Gears 4, and once I played Gears 4, I'm like, okay, I want to play through the entire 1, 2, 3 in Judgment, and I started playing 1. I was making really good headway till 1, and then I left on my trip. So I think what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get back on 1 so I can at least finish that because I'm close to finishing it, and then move on from 2, and then I'm going to try to take up Lee on Ghost Recon Wildlands. Thankfully, Lee's a good friend. And he knows how I am. Where I'll just ghost his ass. I'll just be like, I'm not playing. Oh, but we had. I'm not, dude. I don't feel like playing. And he's very understanding. Thankfully, he'll get upset about it, but the next day he'll be fine.
I understand, yeah.
But yeah, I'm just like I got to get back. I got to get back on this high horse or on the sled driven by Balto. And,
There you go.
Start playing.
Yeah,
some games.
like I said, I started playing Judgment over the weekend, and I'm really enjoying that, and I really want to see where that story goes. So it's goofy and Japanese as hell, but it's certainly fun. So. But yeah, Go ahead, Marlon.
No, I was gonna say, Jeff, is like Gustavo's thing with Witcher 3 reminded me of my girlfriend, and she was so done with that game because of the collectibles and everything that you needed to do in the map, and she's like, I am so happy to have this game. I don't want to play this anymore. We're done with it. And I go, but you have no. I don't want to. she has not gone back and play it. But yeah, I didn't want to cut you off, Jeff. So please continue on.
No, yeah. I mean, I just basically saying like, well, there's ways to get out of it. I think the fault, like, I think my thing right now is I want to be outside. I want to spend time with my family. It's the summertime, nice outside. I don't want to be sitting and playing. But once the weather starts to get crappy and stuff like that, I think I'll have more of a desire to sit down and actually play some video games. Mm-hmm. I think that for me personally, has a lot to do with it. So, but do you guys have any closing remarks in terms of gaming ruts?
No.
That's a gaming rut for you. It literally just stops in your track and you're like, well, not really. My closing remarks for gaming ruts is this. If you feel like you're in a gaming rut and you feel like you don't want to play anything, do something. It doesn't have to be gaming related, but do something that you yourself used to do as a kid that you enjoy. And
like jerking off.
Wow. All right.
Okay. Don't do that. At least not anywhere near.
Don't tell people what to do.
Oh my god, dude. Like I'm in a really bad situation right now with that. Talking about gaming runs for that situation. It's my closing remarks for this is this. Go enjoy yourself. Video games are meant to be having fun. Go back and play some old SNES, some Sega, some easy arcadey games that you don't have to worry about beating. Just play. And that will probably lead into you wanting to play other games, and it will probably get you out of your gaming rut. I mean, Condra's a good game for that. Battletoads, no, Battletoads sucks. So never mind. That game's a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Battletoads.
God, don't even remind me of how bad that looked.
but
God, they butchered it.
Thank you guys, as always, for listening. We will be back next week with a actually pretty special episode, so stay tuned to see what that is all about. And until next time, we will see you here on the AEG show.